The next day, we see that Sakura has already recovered, and he visits Ren, telling him he wants to talk to him about the last fight. But they realize that Ren's classmates are watching them, and they start teasing him for looking after his junior, so he tells his vice reps to stop them while he talks to Sakura. Sakura notes that he needs to learn how to rely on others, so he asks Ren how he can let his vice reps do everything for him. He buys a coffee and gives it to Sakura, but he has no idea why Ren just did that. He suddenly takes Sakura to the roof, telling him it's best to talk somewhere high and spacious, and he reveals that he relies on others because he knows he can't do everything alone. Sakura explains that he can't do that since he doesn't want to admit that he isn't strong enough to do everything by himself. Rin takes the coffee he gave Sakura and changes the label to green tea, but he explains that it's still coffee, telling him he can't change its contents even if he changes the label. Sakura isn't sure what he means, so he explains that it's just like Sakura because he's trying to pretend that he can handle everything, but he knows he can't do it. Rin knows that he's afraid of being rejected by others, and he thinks about how nobody liked him in the past. He believes his classmates accepted him because they know he's a capable fighter, but he thinks they'll leave him if he starts leaning on them. But Rin tells him everyone already knows how he feels because he snapped out after the fight. Rin mentions that a woman is said to appear on the roof at night, but when the students checked it out the next day, they realized that it was just a plastic bag wrapped around a shovel. So Sakura notes that there's nothing to be afraid of, and Ren mentions that he's just like the students in the story, because he's scared of being rejected for nothing. Ren reminds him that he snapped out in front of his friends, but they still accepted him for who he is, telling him they won't reject him even if he starts relying on them. Ren tells Sakura to believe in his friends, but Yumiya suddenly interrupts them, telling Ren his advice is brilliant. So he freaks out, and Yumiya tells him he sounds like Hiragi, so he punches Yumiya and runs away. He notes that Ren has grown, and tells Sakura not to be afraid, because everyone in Furin will forgive him even if he messes up, so everything will be okay if he just believes in his friends. After that, Yumiya notes that he never expected Ren to look after his junior, and we learn that Hiragi taught him this same lesson when he was just starting out. Sakura thinks about how he's been walking a tightrope all his life, because he thinks that's the only way people will accept him for who he is. He believes he can only rely on himself, and notes that his life isn't easy, because everyone shunned him in the past. But he thinks he doesn't need to stay on the tightrope all his life, thinking he can grow if he can find a place where he belongs.